Hey guys, it's Will, and I'm going to be doing another sports history kind of little thing today. So, I did a hockey one on Monday or whenever it was released, and today I'm doing one of my other favorite sports, and that is boxing. Now, if you don't know what boxing is, they put these padded gloves on, they go in a ring, and they basically just hit each other and punch each other until either somebody gets knocked out, or the ref calls it off, or it goes to a decision by a panel of judges. So, I'm talking about one fight in particular. Now, this fight is one of the greatest fights of all time, and it was called the Rumble in the Jungle because this fight actually happened, instead of usually they happen like at casinos in New York, Las Vegas, and stuff like that. This one happened in a small, well, not a very small stadium, over in Zaire, which is now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So, it was October 30th, 1974. So this is way back in the day when this happened. This isn't modern times. This is basically ancient news to some of you kids. So this fight was for the title of Undisputed World Heavyweight. So this was like for being the best in the entire world. And it was between two guys. It was between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. So, George Foreman, I'm going to talk about him a little bit first. Coming into this fight, he had not lost a single one of his fights. He was 40-0, and he had knocked them out in 37 of those, which is incredible. I mean, only 3 people went the full 15 rounds of the fight against him, which is crazy. And he was also only 25 years old. So he was very young at this time in boxing terms. And his nickname was Big George, and that was because he was 6'3.5" and 220 pounds of just sheer muscle. Like if you look at a picture of this guy, it's insane. He was just completely chiseled, and he was heavily favored in this fight. I mean, he was 25. He hadn't lost ever. He was just so big and powerful that they thought Muhammad Ali doesn't stand a chance. But Muhammad Ali, while he was a little bit older, he was 32 years old, so about 7 years older. He was 44-2. He had lost 2 fights. He had 31 knockouts, so he was kind of more of a dance around the ring, go and hit him quick. His big quote, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That was kind of his mentality. And he had a couple nicknames too, and these ones definitely rung true for the rest of his career. His nicknames were The Greatest, The Champ, and Louisville Slugger because he was from Louisville, Kentucky. And he was about the same size as George Foreman, 6'3" and 216 pounds. So he was a half of an inch shorter and like 4 pounds lighter. And so this was his first title fight in a long time because he had been suspended for 3.5 years from the World Boxing Organization for not complying and applying for the draft for the Vietnam War. So they had just suspended him for 3.5 years. He couldn't box anyone competitively. So this was his first time coming back, and so everyone was like, oh, he's rusty. He's only fought 2 times before this in the past 5 years, it seems. And so this fight was a lot, like very much hyped up, very well advertised around the world. And it definitely met expectations because it was watched by a record 1 billion viewers worldwide. So at the time of that recording, it had been watched by 1 billion people. To put that in perspective, now in 2020, not 1974, it's 36th on that list. I counted. It was a lot of counting for me. So it also had 50 million pay-per-view, which is still the record for a boxing match because people still keep buying this match to watch it once over and over, even now in 2020. So it still just kept climbing those boards and stayed number 1. And at the time, it made $100 million for all the people involved, which in terms of today's money, that's about $500 million. Now, this fight was very much advertised and hyped up to be, oh, this is the fight of the century, the Rumble in the Jungle, come and watch this. And it definitely paid off because it ended in a huge upset. Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in the 8th of 15 rounds, so just a little over halfway through the fight. He knocked him out, and people already were calling it the greatest sporting event of the 20th century. Now, people definitely argue on that, as I will talk about in a couple more days. There's my opinion that there is one sporting event that is above all sporting events ever, and I will definitely be talking about that at length. So, yeah, Ali knocked George Foreman out. This was the biggest fight in the world at the time, and it stayed the biggest fight in the world until Muhammad Ali's final fight, which got a lot more streams and a lot more views and all of that, and made a lot more money. So yeah, this was the Rumble in the Jungle between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. I hope you guys enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making this. Have a great day.